You know you want to ban our national flags, but we're going to wave you goodbye.
It is time for the British people to have their say. It is time for us to settle this question about Britain and Europe.
The Prime Minister's talking nonsense.
One way or another, we must proceed straight to an election.
In the annals of British history, few events have generated as much controversy and debate as the decision to exit the European Union, commonly known as Brexit. The seismic shift, marked by the United Kingdom's choice to disentangle itself from the European integration, holds profound historical significance that reverberates far beyond the political landscape. As the world watched, a contentious debate unfolded, pitting proponents of national sovereignty and autonomy against advocates for continued collaboration and shared economic prosperity within the European Union. Brexit, a portmanteau of British exit, was set into motion through a 2016 referendum that saw 51.9% of the UK electorate choosing to leave the European Union. This watershed moment was driven by a number of factors, including concerns over immigration, a desire to reclaim national decision-making powers, and a perception that the EU's bureaucratic structures were stifling British autonomy. However, the decision to untie from the European Union was not merely a contemporary political move. Rather, it embedded itself in the broader historical context of Britain's relationship with continental Europe. The vote to leave the European Union in 2016 and the 4-year struggle to carry out that instruction plunged the United Kingdom into an extended political crisis on a scale not seen in peacetime since decades. Brexit consumed 2 prime ministers, pushed both main parties to the electoral precipice, and overturned the central economic and diplomatic strategy of every government since 1961. It established new political identities, leavers, and remainers. The collision triggered 2 general elections, a series of unprecedented court cases, and an attempt to suspend Britain's parliamentary institutions. Brexit would blur the lines between the personal and the political, rupturing friendships, dividing families, and stirring powerful emotions of vindication and loss.
The UK has voted to leave the European Union.
It would shape who had the privilege to live in the UK, how laws are made and interpreted. It would also impact various socio-economic aspects of society, including supply chains, sports, the environment, the workforce, and Northern Ireland's stability. Politically, the Brexit question seems increasingly clear-cut in the United Kingdom, with most Britons believing that the exit from the European Union was a failure. Around 60% believe the decision was a mistake. Just 10% think Brexit is going well for now, and just 30% expect it to be positive in the long term. Many blame Brexit for various problems like high inflation, struggling schools and hospitals, slow economy, and political instability. In the short term, the economic impact of Brexit on UK-EU trade is evident through trade statistics for the year 2022. While the UK exported 340 billion British pounds of goods and services to the EU, constituting 42% of total UK exports, it imported 432 billion British pounds from the EU, resulting in a trade deficit of 92 billion British pounds. These figures highlight the significant economic interdependence between the UK and the EU.
Those who want to leave Europe cannot tell you if British businesses would be able to access Europe's free trade single market, or if working people's jobs are safe, or how much prices would rise.
Our focus is in negotiating with a big bloc of the European Union to get a trade agreement done. And UK is going to be in the back of the queue.
Despite the challenges posed by Brexit, moreover, data indicates that both UK exports and imports to and from the EU have now exceeded pre-Brexit levels, albeit in current prices. However, caution is advised due to potential distortions caused by factors such as inflation and changes in data collection methods. The Office of Budgetary Responsibility warns of subdued trade volumes in the coming years due to sluggish growth and the evolving impact of Brexit, with net trade projected to make a negligible contribution to overall economic growth. Looking ahead, the longer-term trends reveal a decline in the share of UK trade accounted for by the EU since 1999. Brexit has compounded economic challenges, with the OBR forecasting a reduction in potential productivity and a significant impact on trade intensity relative to remaining in the EU. Despite these challenges, UK services trade has shown resilience, driven by sectors such as business services, albeit with declines in financial services and transport exports. Brexit's effects have been felt differently across sectors and regions. Wales, Northern Ireland, and industries such as accommodation and construction have been hit the hardest. There's also a noticeable gender disparity in the economic impact, with men being more affected than women. Additionally, UK goods trade has underperformed compared to other advanced economies post-Brexit. EU immigration has decreased, while non-EU immigration, particularly from students, has increased. The uncertainty surrounding trade agreements, supply chains, and market access has contributed to economic upheaval in the UK.
We have completed the biggest trade deal yet, worth £660 billion a year, a comprehensive Canada-style free trade deal between the UK and the EU.
Recent surveys conducted by the European Union indicate that 56% of the British public now regrets the decision to leave the European Union. This reflects a complex view of Brexit's consequences, with many reconsidering the trade-offs involved in reclaiming sovereignty. Brexit was advocated as a way to regain sovereignty and escape perceived excessive control from Brussels. Supporters argued that leaving the EU would allow the UK to have more control over its laws, borders, and decision-making. Ironically, leaving the EU has led to increased government control within the UK.
We want out.
Really, they've agreed that
They've agreed out.
Europe. That's it.
And now they're trying to drag us back in.
We're just absolutely fed up. These are not honourable gentlemen, they're dishonourable gentlemen.
They're taking our vote and turning it into a shambles. This shouldn't be going on now.
While the goal was to regain autonomy, the process of separating from the EU required the UK government to establish new regulations, frameworks, and trade policies, leading to more national involvement and regulation. The issue of immigration from Europe adds complexity, with concerns about the impact of free movement on job opportunities, schools, and crime rates in the UK. There's pressure on UK governments to tighten border controls in response to these concerns. The dilemma is exemplified by the situation in Northern Ireland, where Brexit decisions affect its relationship with both the UK and the EU.
On a point of order, Mr. Speaker, I profoundly regret the decision that this House has taken tonight. I continue to believe that by far the best outcome is that the United Kingdom leaves the European Union in an orderly fashion with a deal.
The debate over a backstop agreement highlights the challenges of managing border customs and agreements with the Republic of Ireland. Whether Northern Ireland is inside or outside the EU fence, contentious adjustments are likely.
On a more personal note, what I feel today is, frankly speaking, sadness.
I have mixed feelings today. I really regret that the United Kingdom is leaving the European Union.
Supporters of Brexit often frame the decision as a pathway to a rejuvenated Britain, free from the regulatory constraints imposed by Brussels.
It brings confidence back in what we can achieve as a nation, and it means being back on the global stage as Britain, not as part of the failing EU.
The argument centered on the idea that departing from the European Union would provide the UK with the flexibility to establish its own trade policies, regulations, and standards. Contrary to the envisioned rejuvenation, the act of leaving the EU resulted in the disruption of established trade relationships. The UK's departure from the single market and customs union introduced new complexities in trade, requiring the negotiation of individual trade deals and the establishment of new regulatory frameworks. Brexit brought about the creation of new trade barriers between the UK and the EU. Customs checks, tariffs, and non-tariff barriers became significant challenges for businesses on both sides of the English Channel. The absence of seamless trade within the single market led to delays in the movement of goods, increased administrative burdens, and additional costs for companies engaged in cross-border trade. Specifically, the Northern Ireland Protocol introduced a unique set of challenges by creating a de facto customs border in the Irish Sea, aiming to prevent a hard border on the island of Ireland, but resulting in trade disruptions and heightened tensions. Businesses faced a multitude of challenges in adapting to the new trade landscape post-Brexit. The need for customs declarations, compliance with divergent regulatory standards, and increased paperwork added complexities. Small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs in particular, encountered difficulties in navigating the new trade environment, which was characterized by uncertainty and a learning curve. In essence, the facts surrounding trade and regulatory constraints post-Brexit highlight significant discrepancy between the envisioned benefits of a liberated Britain and the practical challenges that emerged. The Northern Ireland Protocol, pivotal to the Brexit withdrawal agreement, aimed to prevent a hard border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland post-Brexit. This necessitated new customs procedures for EU goods entering Great Britain, impacting agri-food exports significantly, especially for Ireland, the UK's largest food market. The protocol initially faced opposition due to concerns about its impact on trade and Northern Ireland's delicate political history. To address these concerns, the UK and EU negotiated the Windsor Framework in 2023. This framework established separate lanes for goods entering Northern Ireland from Great Britain, with different levels of scrutiny based on their final destination.
Today's agreement delivers smooth-flowing trade within the whole United Kingdom, protects Northern Ireland's place in our union, and safeguards sovereignty for the people of Northern Ireland.
This new framework will allow us to begin a new chapter. It provides for long-lasting solutions that both of us are confident will work for all people and businesses in Northern Ireland.
Additionally, the UK government and the DUP agreed on the Safeguarding the Union deal, reducing checks and paperwork on goods going from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. This agreement, along with the Windsor Framework, aims to balance trade facilitation with regulatory compliance, with provisions like the Stormont Break, allowing Northern Ireland to object to EU rules affecting its trade arrangements. Brexit has deepened political rifts across the UK, transcending traditional party lines and reshaping voter allegiances. The intense debate over Brexit exposed stark ideological differences, exacerbating divisions within the country.
That is the choice on June the 23rd. It is between taking back control of our money or giving a further £100 billion to Brussels before the next election, between deciding who we want to come here to live and work, or letting the EU decide.
We don't want a future that betrays the hopes and dreams of our young people who overwhelmingly want to stay inside the European Union.
Regional disparities in Brexit attitudes were glaringly evident, with some areas in England strongly favoring leaving the EU, while Scotland and Northern Ireland lean towards remaining. These differences have fueled tensions and sparked debates about the UK's constitutional future, including calls for Scottish independence and concerns about peace in Northern Ireland. Brexit also highlighted gaps between generations and educational levels, with younger and more educated demographics generally supporting EU membership. These divides persist in subsequent elections, influencing voting patterns and political affiliations. The Brexit fallout continues to influence British politics, shaping election outcomes and party agendas. Issues like national identity, immigration, and economic sovereignty remain central, impacting political discourse and policy decisions. Beyond politics, Brexit has strained social cohesion, leading to tensions within families and communities. The rifts exposed by the Brexit vote have prompted reflections on British identity and the challenges of fostering unity in a society marked by diverse perspectives. Moving forward, it's imperative to transcend the divisive rhetoric of the past, particularly the fiery rhetoric of leaders like Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson, and focus on constructive solutions.
June the 23rd go down in our history as our Independence Day. We've got our country back.
As they take a backseat in politics, there's an opportunity to learn from their policies' shortcomings. Political leaders must prioritize national unity, engaging in meaningful dialogue to find common ground on Brexit-related issues. Economically, proactive measures are needed to support industries affected by Brexit, foster innovation, and promote inclusive growth. Socially, healing divisions exacerbated by Brexit is crucial, requiring efforts to bridge gaps between different groups and defined by a commitment to democracy, human rights, and international cooperation, contributing to addressing global challenges alongside allies.
Marks the point of no return. Once we've left, we are never coming back, and the rest, frankly, is detail. We're going, we will be gone.